Joining us is Steel Secretary Dr. Aruna Sharma. Ma'am, the Steel Secretary is under a lot of stress. What percentage of the total capacity is under stress according to you?
The steel sector, the stress has been quite heavy. It has been 28% of the NPAs, so it was one of the largest contributor as far as the NPA is concerned. And there were some internal and some externalities which were factoring into these NPAs. So what we worked upon is immediately having targeted and strategic interventions so that the steel sector in India have a positive trend, and if they work hard, they can move ahead and achieve the same. Accordingly, the anti-dumping policy did have an impact, and the steel sector showed a positive trend as an immediate intervention, right? So they were out of the ICU. Along with that, we supported it with the two policies, the Steel Policy 2017, which has laid down the path ahead, as well as the procurement policy for governments, both at center and state, and their agencies to have a preferential treatment for steel made in India, which has to be of the desired quality and at competitive pricing. So we also worked upon consciously to bring down the investments that you have as the input costs. And the new GST regime is also good, where on the inputs the GST is 5% and finished products is 18%. So we are just awaiting some clarifications of what all gets subsumed into the 18%. So it will be very positive for the steel sector. And this supplementing with a boost in the demand of steel, the sector looks up. So the platform is set to ease out the NPA and to ease out the stress.
According to you, what could happen if steel capacity undergoes liquidation or bankruptcy?
Definitely not. There are only very few companies. If you look at the scenario of the steel, 57% of the steel is done by secondary sector, which is not under the stress. Then 24% is done by the private sector, and among the private sector, there are few companies which are under stress and heavy stress. 19% comes from the PSU, which is not an NPA again. So in this scenario, it is not going to hit the steel production or steel sector per se, but definitely these companies are the major companies, and them easing out will be a contributor to both expansion and the production matters.
Is the government open to allowing foreign companies to sort of participate and pick up the capacities in steel production?
No. What the government is very keen upon is the FDIs by making new plants, because our steel policy says that we have to enhance our production to 300 million tons by 2030, and this supported by the procurement preferential policy. Definitely FDI will be interested in investing in India. And as far as the existing capacities are concerned, there could be JVs, so joint ventures with the existing steel producers, both in the private sector as well as in the public sector, and that is the way we look forward for the foreign investors to move ahead.
Top steel companies also have huge debts. What is the government doing to help these?
Not all of them. Few of them, yes, they have big debts, and there have been difficult conditions for them, and like I said before, we have given a platform for them to revive, and their lenders have been the banks, and there is a dialogue going on between the bankers and them, and with the RBI ordinance which the Ministry of Finance has brought in recently. So all these three put together, there are series of meetings happening, and we are awaiting the results as to what comes out of the whole thing, and we are quite optimistic it will give a boost to the quality and efficient productions.
Do you see Indian companies bidding for these stressed companies?
Nothing is on floor today, so this question is hypothetical.
Do you think stress will force companies to relook at their capex plans?
No, not at all, because the current EBITDA even of the stress companies is 20 plus. So with an EBITDA of 20 plus, they will be performing. They are done very well in 16-17. So I'm very sure they'll continue to do so, and they have to repay their stressed assets.
3 companies of the 12 companies are under the bad loans category of RBI. So, what is the government doing to help those companies?
The steel ministry does not believe in giving any subsidy or any haircut or anything. So Ministry of Steel is no way involved into it. It is between the bankers and them, and the RBI guidelines are there. So under the RBI guidelines, whatever is possible, I am very sure the banks will do it.
Even as steel prices have increased over the past 1 year, there's an 80% increase in the prices. Companies have reported losses. Is the ministry coming up with some steps?
No, if you look at it, the companies have not reported losses. There has been a hockey stick upward curve, and all companies have made a profit. If you look at it 16-17, including SAIL, which has become EBITDA positive, so it has filled up that gap. RINL has brought down its losses, and all private companies have made, like I told you, is EBITDA positive. So absolutely no.
The Credit Suisse report has estimated an average of 70% reduction in interest cost is needed for interest coverage of one for steel companies. Are you planning to give some sort of interest subvention to steel companies?
No way, no way. I don't think so. It is needed. Not at all needed. It's only that efficiency levels have to go up. We are working on bringing down the input cost as well as import substitution. So these are the ways which the government is supposed to do. Rest the market forces are going to decide. And we are a strong believer in it that steel can sustain that.
All right. Thank you for talking to Bloomberg, Quint.
Thank you.